What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house. It's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close.
What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building. I'm joined today with Garrett Schmidt. How you doing today, Garrett?
Doing great. How about yourself, Dan?
I'm fantastic because, after all, my very favorite audience member is here today. And why is my favorite audience member here today? It's because this is a chance encounter where I interview commercial real estate syndicators, buyers, sellers, all those types of people. And why would I do such a thing? Well, a big part of it is for legal compliance. See, a lot of deals are what are called off market or private deals, and you're not allowed to discuss them with people until you have a prior substantive relationship. And so we need to get that all documented, and I need to find out if there's any overlap between me and the people in my circle. But before we get too excited with that, we'll keep it real simple. Garrett, do you want to give a simple introduction before we get started?
Yeah, sure. My name is Garrett Schmidt from Washington, D.C. area. Got started in real estate about 10 years ago. Did some fix and flips, wholesaling, all that, and got into commercial real estate about a year and a half ago when I saw everybody having success. The passive side of it, the rental income, that was really appeasing to me. So I decided, you know what, let me do that instead of all the transactional stuff on the other side of with the fix and flips. And so, yeah, been in multifamily and not turning back.
Excellent, excellent. So before we get to the five distinct motivations, though, I got a favor to ask, which is, but wait, check your eight. If you check your eight, I don't know if you can see through your camera and then onto the audience's screen under there. You can see if they have the big ugly red subscribe button or if it's the gray. Okay, I'm just kidding. Anyway, that's important because then YouTube pays for these videos. But let's talk about the five different distinct motivations that really show the difference between one investor and another. The first motivation I found that some people are up to, they want to preserve their purchasing power. And what that means is they already have a portfolio of assets, and then the profits that come from that, that's how they make ends meet. But if inflation rears its ugly head, or if there's an asset crash or something like that, and they want to protect the value of their wealth, their nest egg, then they're going to go through the hassle of making another acquisition, which is really what I'm trying to find out here. Now, this is not my motivation. That's not really what I'm up to. What I'm up to is because I got a background in tech, that means that I'm a high salary, high wage earner, and that means I pay more in income tax than anybody else while I'm doing that sort of thing. So it hit me as well, why don't I pivot and figure out how to be rewarded for my effort in the form of deployed capital, aka wealth? And so that's what I'm up to with all of this stuff. But some people, they're attracted to commercial real estate because they heard that there's a bunch of money in it and they want to retire sooner. But really, people who choose this one, the more important part is to take control of your schedule. So maybe that means retiring early. I think some people, like if you haven't got any real estate exposure at all, you're going to have a real trouble retiring at all. But maybe you just want to work fewer months per year or fewer weeks per month or something like that. But the next two groups, they're not looking to scale down at all. Like this next group, they're so ambitious. They want to buy their entire hometown. They want to get that generational wealth. They want to make sure that their great grandchildren never have to hold a day job. And so they're going to hustle into their 90s. So these guys are great people to have on your team as well. Just like the last group, they also are going to be highly motivated. I like to say that they're trying to save the world, but it doesn't have to be trying to save the world. But they figured out like maybe a sector of society or animals or the environment or want to send people to space. Who knows what it is? But they realize you have to have your financial situation really, really buttoned up if you're going to make that kind of splash or impact on society or a particular group. So, Garrett, of those five different distinct motivations, what combination of those would you say describes you best?
Um, when I first started, it was definitely get your time back. I had a job, it was W-2, and couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand having to wake up Monday through Friday, go into a place I had no control over. So it was get your time back. As I've continued in real estate, I've built a portfolio of 28 units personally. And so I've got some of that time back. So now I've sort of transitioned to buy the hometown, I guess you would say.
Mhm.
I don't see myself retiring anytime soon. Um, but eventually I can see myself shifting into giving back because
Mhm.
once you accumulated a certain amount of success and wealth, I feel like you got to give it back to the community. So definitely right now it's by the hometown, and I can see myself transferring over to the giving back down the road.
I love that answer. And especially because you basically implied the risk part of it. You're talking about building your nest egg and whatnot, but the fact is there still are risks involved. And the way that I like to go through those is by this fill in the blank question. So please fill in this blank. There are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. What is too risky for you, Garrett?
Definitely crypto. I didn't go heavy in it, but I definitely put some money into it way above where it is now. And I'm not going to pull it out. I'm going to see maybe if this can turn around because that was money I could afford to let it be volatile, and it has been. And so I'm just going to let that sit there and see what it does. But I will not be putting any more money into crypto.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm just let that ride out and stick with something I feel like I can control more in real estate is that. I definitely feel like if you underwrite the deals right and you have a good knowledge about how to perform with these assets, and it's hard to really mess it up. It's a hard asset. It's hard unless I don't even know what really could.
Yeah, yeah. If you're over leveraged and playing
Yeah,
it too close, like interest rates can
exactly.
go up. There are lots of things that can bite you. But I'm happy that you mentioned underwriting because in every single episode of Chance Encounters, I go through the Dan Does Deals Commercial Competency Cube, the 6 different sides on the cube here, and you can get your own copy for free. I don't even ask for your email address, which as a marketer, that's like the worst thing you can do, not asking for contact information for your freebie. But the thing is, I want to make sure that you can effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate. And the best ways that I can do that is to give you a little thingy to print out and show to your friends and family. But in every single episode of Chance Encounters, I go through all 6 faces. And then that way you understand how deals work. And more importantly, how my guest fits into those deals. So we're first going to talk about repositioners. Okay, repositioners are the people who are doing the underwriting first of all. They're doing a bunch of paperwork, they're looking at a bunch of properties. And what are they doing with that paperwork? Well, underwriting means that you are doing the math. You're figuring out, first of all, hey, is this building even making the amount of money that the broker or seller claims it is? Because there's no guarantee. They might stretch it over a longer period. There are all kinds of funds and games they can do with that. So you got to be doing your underwriting. But why are they really doing all of that paperwork? Well, they're looking for upside. That's why I call them repositioners, is because they're figuring out what changes can we make to how the business is run to find some upside. And the first thing that they can do is if they get more advantageous lending from financiers, financiers being people who only deal with money and paper, and they don't do any like operations, any work like that. So if the repositioner turns around to a financier and they can get a cheaper loan, that's baked in upside right there. But let's assume that that's not available to the repositioner. The first place they're going to look then is going to be the operations piece. They're going to stop those Benjamins from going down the toilet. But of course, there's much more to operations than just unclogging toilets and collecting rents and mowing lawns and all that kind of fun stuff. Like for example, the keeping the vacancy rate low is a marketing piece, which is one of my fortes. And then of course with my CRM background, it also means that I can automate all sorts of different processes like inventory and whatnot. But operations, it's probably not going to be enough because commercial real estate is just plain so competitive. So the next place that the repositioner is going to look is to get a contractor team in to do what they call a value add. They're going to do the renovations so that the next tenant will be happy to pay more in rent than the previous one. But contracting, getting people in, fixing things up, that's a very expensive habit. You don't want to be gold plating toilets. So the thing that the repositioner is going to need to have as well is you're going to need somebody, especially if they're like me. See, I'm from the internet, and so that means I need a local. All right. So you need somebody nearby who can be there in an hour or two. And that's definitely not going to be me because I'd still be stuck at the airport in an hour or two. So you need the local on your team as well. But once the repositioner has figured out this entire team and turns around to the financier and says, hey, I got this property, it's worth tens of millions of dollars. You don't happen to have, say, tens of millions of dollars you want to lend me, do you? Well, the financier is going to have one other question on their mind, which is, well, who's your sponsor KP? If you're just getting your pals together to take over, say, like a 350 unit apartment complex, you're going to need somebody in the fold who already owns a similar asset, or else you're not going to be eligible for the loan. Okay, that's even if you're Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or whatever. But on top of that, you also need to have a certain amount of liquidity. And then among this team of owners, you need a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan. But if you have all those pieces, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So, Garrett, as far as your core competencies, what are you likely to contribute to your next deal?
Currently, we're actually doing a deal, my first syndication, and we're partnering up with some really good operators. And my role in that is the marketing, the investor relations, raising capital. I do have experience finding deals with our own personal portfolio, me and my wife. So I've found the deals, I financed the deals, I've done all that. But where I really like to be is investor relations, marketing, and bringing capital.
Mhm.
And definitely, but I mean, construction, I have experience with that also.
Mhm.
But yeah, that would be my core competency right now that I could add to a team.
Beautiful, beautiful. So then let's talk about the properties that are ideal. So when commercial investors, syndicators, whatever, are talking about a buy box or an ideal property, we're talking about three main things. First of all, the big one is going to be geography. So which states, which counties, which neighborhood, okay? It's all going to matter. Second thing is going to be the size, because you're going to have a completely different group taking down 5 to 15 unit apartment complex from the 500 unit complexes. It's just a different beast. There's more to do, more people involved, all that kind of stuff. So the teams will be different. So that unit count is definitely going to matter here in multifamily. There's other forms of commercial real estate like industrial that goes off of square footage. But the third thing is called class. And unfortunately, they use the same word for two different meanings. The first one has to do with the condition of the building. So is it old? Is it beat up? Is it up to date but no frills? Or does it have all the amenities and it's all fancy and all that kind of stuff? That's the first meaning of class. The second meaning of class is also called area sometimes, but specifically what they're talking about are things like what's the crime rate like? What are the school districts like where that property is actually located? But both of those two meanings of class are rated with the same system as in grade schools, so it'll be like A plus, A minus, B plus, and so on. So Garrett, as far as you and your organization, what's easier to say yes to and more difficult to say no to?
Right now, if it's long distance, a syndication style partnerships, we're doing 100 plus. We might go down to 90, but 100 plus units. B, we're getting in a lot of A class right now, just because of the way cap rates were compressing. Those like C's and B's were starting to get really close to A cap rates, so we weren't seeing um, the reasoning to go after those different types of assets in the C and B class. So we've aimed towards A. But if it's locally and it's local to me in the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, I'll go down to 10 units because I can keep my hand on it and check on it and stuff like that. But yeah, so either or local, um, 10 units and up, long distance, we're going to do like 100 units and up. And then A class, B class, long distance. We'll go down to C if it's local, just because we can manage and keep our hands on it a little bit more.
All right, that makes sense. Cool. So then the next question then has to do with people. And my favorite part about commercial real estate is people are so friendly and willing to help build new teams, give referrals, and all that kind of stuff. But even though that's the case, we all have our own unique skill sets, so we can disproportionately help some people more than others. Me personally, because of my marketing and tech background, the sponsors and KPs are the people that I'm disproportionately well suited to help because they'll already have a foundation where an automation person and scaling person really makes a difference. Whereas when you're first getting started as a repositioner, you need grunts who can put in like 80 to 120 hours a week. And that's what's really going to make a disproportionate difference. But Garrett, I don't know if you have any 506B raises going on right now, but if so, you're not allowed to entice investors. So if you have a donut on your desk, don't like wave it in front of the camera. That's very enticing, those donuts. But I think you could still say that, if somebody is just getting into this business, they're beginners, then reach out to you. But all things equal, who are you best suited to help on the die? Who are you looking for?
We're trying to help working class or high income earners. Let me say not working class, high income earners that are so busy in their jobs that they need to place that money, but they don't have the time. Or
Mhm.
entrepreneurs. Before real estate, I started multiple businesses and in the transportation industry, and so I understand where they're coming from as an entrepreneur and running a business and not having the time, but knowing that you have a chunk of money that you have to place. So those type of people, so high income earners and busy entrepreneurs that need to place money.
Mhm.
So if that's you, please contact us. We have a lot of stuff going on, and so we'd love to talk to you guys.
Perfect, perfect. And we caught up through LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a great way to reach me, especially because I got the distinct last name right there. The QR code right here, that if you scan that with your phone right now or hit pause or whatever, that'll take you to the FAQ page of 506 Me, which is a platform I use to help syndicators. And I basically become their chief compliance officer for as little as $497 a year. But those are the best ways to reach out to me. How about you, Garrett? How can people reach out?
Probably the most active place I am right now is Instagram, but we're getting on all platforms. I'm on TikTok too, on LinkedIn, but most active on Instagram. You can do my full name and underscore and all those platforms, a little bit on YouTube too. You can find me on any of those.
Okay, beautiful then. And then that means the only thing left is actually not for you, Garrett, it's for you in the audience. Which it's kind of a PSA, public service announcement, which is if you've been watching this video and you've been noticing searing pains in your eyeballs, like migraine-like symptoms, it's probably because there's this hideous red button under my left hand. You'll know it's the one because it says subscribe on it. And like it doesn't even cost you anything to change it from the ugly red button to the gray button of tranquility. And the gray button of tranquility has a wonderful magical power. It means that YouTube will start to pay for these videos instead of me. And as far as the other side effects, it means that my videos might show up in your list of suggestions, but you can go ahead and ignore those. That's perfectly fine. I just appreciate the fact that you spent this time with me. Just like Garrett, I appreciate the fact that you spent this time with me. It's been great getting to know you a little bit better.
Likewise, Dan.
Awesome. Thanks. Make sure you 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me.
Hi.
Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay. Yeah, oh, yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser.
Okay.
Okay. Are you already logged into 506BME?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506BME, everybody.